In South America's Chile, 33 workers landed in a 100-year-old mine for mining. This mine was deeper than the second largest building in the world, the Shanghai Tower, and with time, it had become so weak that it looked hollow from the inside. As soon as these workers reached about 2,000 feet below, suddenly a terrible explosion spread dust and rubble all around. The mine had collapsed and 33 people were trapped inside it. When this news spread, everyone agreed that after such a deep and dangerous incident, it was impossible for them to escape, because there was only one way to get into this mine, and unfortunately, there was also the same way to come back. What happens to those workers next? You will find out every day. The 5th of August 2010, when in the middle of the Atacama Desert in Chile, a copper and coal mining was going on in an old mine called San José. This mine was 120 years old, and the way to its bottom was possible only through a spiral track. With the help of gypsum on this track, workers and miners were sent down 2,300 feet daily. In this dangerous mine, 30 to 40 workers lost their lives every year. And on the 5th of August, 2010 as well, 33 workers were present in it. When these miners were working down, cracks began to form in the mine. And suddenly, a big incident happened. A very big stone broke and fell on the entry point of the mine, due to which the entire path was blocked. This stone was so big that it was impossible to remove or break it. The workers' lives were saved. But now, they were stuck at such a place 2,300 feet below, from where no one could come back up. Neither did they have enough food and water, and neither was there any place for oxygen. It felt as if these 33 people were buried alive in their graves. But the twist in the story came when after 79 days, they were taken out of the mine alive. But the question is, how was this possible? How did these 33 people survive for 69 days with one meal? How did they survive in limited oxygen? And to carry out this impossible rescue operation, what challenges did the engineering team face? In today's video, we will tell you the detailed story of this incident. I have divided this story into 13 challenges. Let's start with challenge number 1. This dangerous collapse happened around 2 p.m. The explosion was so fast that dust and mud began to rise from the entry point of the mine, and the surrounding areas also shook. This news spread like wildfire in the whole of Chile, and the mining company immediately issued an emergency alert. Everyone was worried about whether their workers who were trapped inside the mine were still alive or not. But a retired miner, Jose Vega, who was the father of the trapped worker Alex, was ready to go to any extent to save his son. Vega decided that whatever happens, he will go inside the mine and see. Let's move on to challenge number 2. When Jose entered the mine with his car, he was shocked to see what was inside. There were deep cracks in the walls of the mine, and small stones were still falling. He realized that the mine had become very weak and could collapse again at any time. But he still dared to go inside. After a while, a big stone blocked his way. This was the same stone that had collapsed the entire mine. And this was not an ordinary stone. This stone was a stone called thyrite, which is twice as hard as granite. It weighed about 7 lakh tons. That is, the tallest building in the world, heavier than Burj Khalifa. Now it was clear that it was impossible to cut or remove this stone at any cost. But Jose, who had worked in this mine for years, knew that there was a ventilation tunnel in the mine, which goes straight to the bottom of the mine. Then he gathered a search party and started preparing to enter the mine through the ventilation shaft. These people were preparing for another big explosion, This was the second collapse that completely crashed the ventilation shaft. Challenge number 3. After the ventilation shaft broke, Jose had no hope of saving his son. Now it was impossible for any rescue team to go inside the mine. 24 hours had passed, and the matter had become so big that the Chilean government had to pay attention to this matter. Chile's mining minister, Lawrence Goldborn, ordered high-speed drilling rigs after the mine tour. These machines were the last hope of saving the trapped workers. But the biggest question was how to trace the workers from these machines. Operation Hedra Hold decided to drill a 6-inch wide hole in 3 places and made a plan to find out the workers through the camera. But there was another big problem. That operation head told that the hard stones at the ground can drill the pipe here and there, with which we can miss our target. It was like trying to put a basketball in a basket from a distance of 2,000 feet. That is, there was only 1% chance of finding the workers through this drilling. But there was no other option. As time passed, the hopes of the workers' survival were also diminishing. For this reason, the drilling was started without delay. Challenge number 4. Now 7 days had passed, but the drilling work was still going on. Experts suspected that the workers were trapped in 3 possible places in the mine. The first place was about 1,000 feet below, but there was no movement there. The second place was 1,600 feet deep, but there was also only thick darkness there. The concern of the people present at the mining site was increasing, and the hopes of the workers' survival were also diminishing. On the third and last location of the drilling, which was 2,300 feet below the ground, there was a small room there, which is called a refuse. In any emergency, the workers used to gather in this room, where food was kept for 3 days. But another problem arose. It could take a week to reach the drilling pipe to the refuse. That is, a week had already passed. And now, another week was going to take place. Even if the workers had reached the refuse, they would have only had food for 3 days. But there was no other way. So the drilling work was started again. Challenge number 5 was a new challenge in front of the experts. They had to send a drilling pipe down 2,300 feet from a special angle so that it hits the area directly where the workers were trapped. After a few days of hard work, the pipe finally reached 1,300 feet below the ground. But once again, the hopes were shattered. The pipe got stuck only 100 feet away from the refuse. 14 days had passed by, and the hopes of the workers' survival were almost over. The situation was so bad that the rescue operation was announced to be closed. But then the Chilean mining minister Lawrence Goldborn requested his team to try for the last time. The last attempt was made, and after 3 days, the drilling pipe once again reached 1,300 feet below the ground. Now the pipe had to be taken out, and a camera was to be sent in it, so that it could be seen if there is any life inside. But suddenly, some strange sounds started coming from inside the pipe. At first, it seemed that it was just the sound of stones. But when the stethoscope was checked, it sounded like a hammer, as if someone was hitting the pipe. The pipe was immediately taken out, and when it was taken out, there was a red paint mark and a letter on it. The letter said, "We are trapped in the refuse and we are still alive." Knowing this, everyone present there cried with joy. But the real shocking sight was seen when the camera was sent in through a 6-inch hole. The question was, how did these people survive for 17 days with just 3 days of food? So this was challenge number 6. After 17 days of hard work and continuous efforts, the location of the miners was finally found. putting a CCTV camera and a phone line in a 6-inch wide pipe, so that the condition of the trapped miners could be seen. The eyes of everyone present above were fixed on the screen. Everyone was eagerly waiting to see the face of their trapped companions. When the camera showed the pictures inside the mine, the condition of the miners was very bad. Due to extreme heat, most of the miners had taken off their shirts, and some were in a state of unconsciousness due to hunger. Their bodies had weakened, and tiredness was clearly visible on their faces. But as soon as they were talked to on the phone, new energy and happiness was heard in the voice of the miners. Despite the pain and hunger of so many days, those miners sang the national anthem of Chile. As soon as the mine collapsed, the shift supervisor immediately gathered all the workers and brought them to the refuse area. There was only 3 days of food and water available there. For this reason, the supervisor started distributing the food from the first day itself. Every worker was given just a drop of milk and a spoonful of smoked fish. Not every day, but every other day. But this ration could only last for 14 days. The supervisor said that he had not eaten anything for the last 3 days and did not even drink a drop of water. That is, he was in such a state that he could have died one by one. Now the rescue team faced the biggest challenge: to somehow deliver food and water to the miners trapped 2,000 to 300 feet below. That too from a 6-inch wide tunnel. But there was another problem here. The food that he was impatiently waiting for. That food could have killed him in a jiffy because of being hungry for 17 days. The minerals and vitamins in his body were exhausted. In this case, suddenly there was a risk of heart attack when eating food. To find a solution to this problem, the Chilean government contacted NASA's food lab. The doctors there prepared a special diet for the miners, which could gradually make their bodies digestible. Then this special food was sent down to all the miners through pipes. When the miners ate food, their condition improved. Challenge number 8, on the other hand, the rescue team began planning how to get these miners out as soon as possible. For 17 days, the miners' bodies had not received any sunlight, and the doctors said that if they were not removed soon, they could get a fungal infection. Finally, the plan was to make a big hole, just like the previous 6-inch hole, so big that a person could be pulled out of it. But it was not easy because this hole was not 6 inches, but was supposed to be 21 inches. It was estimated that it would take about 90 days to make this hole. Immediately, heavy drilling rigs were ordered and work started. Challenge number 920. Days had passed, and now the mining minister was focusing on how to get the miners out when the hole was made. The depth was so deep that it took more than an hour to bring a worker up, and because of suffocation, he could have died in the middle of the way. That's why a machine was needed that had oxygen. The Chilean government again asked NASA for help. NASA's space experts suggested that a special capsule should be made, whose diameter should be equal to the size of the hole. Oxygen cylinders will be installed in this capsule. NASA took about 2 months to make it. By the time the drilling work was complete, the capsule would be ready. Challenge number 10. 26 days had passed, and every second was precious. On the mining site, TV channels were broadcasting 24 hours live, and the whole world was paying attention to every news of this rescue mission. The drilling team had just dug a few feet when suddenly another problem arose, that the hydraulic pipe was leaking. Because of this, the entire work had to be stopped so that it could be maintained. Seeing this news, another drilling company offered a service. It was thought that only one drilling would not work, Now it was time to make Plan B under Plan B. A hammer drilling rig was ordered, which would not cut stones but break them with a hammer. And within a month, Plan B's rig started working. And Plan A's rig also started working. Challenge number 11. By the time the drilling work was complete, the Chilean government sent iPods to entertain the miners so that they don't get mentally ill. Plan B's rig was much faster than Plan A and had completed more than half the hole. But then another challenge came. Plan B's rig's hammer broke due to continuous operation and got stuck inside the hole. Now the problem was how to get this heavy piece of iron out. Then the engineers made a special mechanical system which would catch the piece of iron stuck in the hole by applying pressure. After many days of hard work, this piece was finally taken out and drilling started again. Challenge number 12 now. The miners had been stuck in the ground for 52 days. They were waiting for every moment to come out. That's when they got good news that the escape capsule made by NASA has reached the mining site. And now they just had to wait for the drilling to end. 65 days had passed, and at 8 in the morning, Plan B's rig finally completed the 2,300 feet deep hole. Along with this news, celebrations were held at both the top and bottom. The hope of the miners was again awakened. Then, on the 69th day, at 6 in the morning, the first miner was safely taken out. After that, all 33 miners were safely taken out, one by one. When the miners came out of the ground, they clicked a memorable photo, and the words seen in the photo are still written in the refuse area. These are the real pictures of those 33 miners who spent those 69 days of their lives stuck in the San José mine. After this incident, San José mine was closed forever. A movie has also been made on this incident. You can watch it on D33 Netflix. And to watch such interesting videos, you can subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Thank you.